Hello class 10th student, this is Neha Singh, your science teacher is again here with the third part of your chapter number 1, chemical reaction and equation. In the previous videos, we have learned about the chemical reaction, equations and how to balance them by the hit and trial method. Now we are going to balance the equation, we are going to learn about the second method that is known as algebraic method or stoichiometric coefficient method, or we can say that Bott-Moll's method. It is generally used for more complex reaction, but it does not take a longer time, but it is easier one also. For that, what we need to do, the first we need to write the equation and we have to provide the stoichiometric coefficient. You can write A, B, C, D because we always write a number in front of the the formula or the symbols, right, to balance the equation. So we'll write A, B, C, D we'll give a stoichiometric coefficient to the reactants as well as the product, but we'll give differently. The first thing, then after that what we'll do, we'll just mention it, like we'll compare it, like P is in the left hand side, that is A, that should be equal to the C, because C in the formula of H3O we are getting P here. Similarly, Cl on the left hand side, they are 5 in number and we can write it as 5A, and that should be equal to the Cl on the other side, that is D. Numbers should be equal to that. Next, H, if we are talking about H, that will be 2B because whatever we are adding, it should be at the B, so it would be multiply with that, right? And it should be equal to 3C because there are 3 here plus D. Why? Because we have to count the total number on the product side also, and the total number will be total in both the amounts, so we have to write it like that. And for oxygen, that is B, and it should be equal to the 4 of C. After providing the equations, we'll compare them we'll make the equations for them, assign a letter, and then we'll make a equations. We check the number of each element found on both the sides and set those equal to each other. After that, we have to solve this equation that we have created, right? So for that, we assume any coefficient as 1. Let A is equals to 1. You can take C is equals to 1. You can also take D is equals to 1. Whatever you feel right, but mostly we'll take the complete compound coefficient as 1. That will be easier for us, not only the element 1, right? If we're taking A as a 1, so from the equation we can say that A is equals to C, that is equals to 1. So A and C will become equal to 1. Now the second part here, if you are talking about the Cl, that is 5A. 5A is 5A and the D is which is equal to the D. So D here we can easily find out the D. For the B, we can use this equation. The third one, hydrogen 1, we have C, that is 1, we have D, that is 5, and if we'll find out the B, so this 2 will be downward and we'll find out B as 4. So we have all the equations now, A, B, C and D. If we'll try to put it down, so A will be 1, B will be 4, C will be 1 and D will be 5. The final equation that we'll write here, that will be PCl5 plus 4H2O. It will give you H3PO4 plus, that is 5HCl. And if we compare the number here, we can easily check that P is 1, here is also 1, balanced. Cl is 5. Here Cl again 5, balanced. 8 is H2O, 5 here, H is here and 3 is here, total 8. They are also balanced. 4 oxygen, here also the 4 oxygen. Here the equation is completely balanced. So this method can also be used. Again, we can use the same equation that we have tried for the what we can say that hit and trial method, that Fe1 for this method also. Let's see whether we get the same result or not. So Fe plus H2O, that is the equation that we have took earlier also, which is giving Fe3O4 plus H2, right? So what we'll do, we'll just provide the coefficient to each of the element or the symbol here, A, B, C and D. Now what we'll do, we'll put it the equation together, like Fe will be A is equals to A, and that will be equal to 3C. Again hydrogen 2B, that should be equal to 2D, and oxygen B, that should be equal to 4C. Now what we have to do, we have to assume any of the coefficient as 1. Let's take C as 1. We'll take C as 1. So what will be the equation here? Then A will become 3, right, because C is 1, right? Here we'll find out B will become the 4 again, and if B is here, then 2B, that is 2 into 4 is equals to 2D, 8, 2D, that means D will be again 4. The final equation that we got is A is equals to 3 Fe, H2O is, B is 4 H2O, C is 1, we have took the C as 1, and DH2, that is 4. So if we check the equation, they are both this, we are giving the same number as both, right? And we can find out. Sometimes what happen, you will get the coefficient as half, like A is, we assume A as 1, but we'll get C as half. Sometimes we get it like that. So what we'll do, we cannot put it the half in front of the formula. So what we should avoid this 2, and to avoid this 2 from the whole equation, we have to multiply the whole equation by the 2, and we'll get the whole number of that particular element or the product, and your equation will be balanced. Hopefully you'll get the idea how to balance the equation by this method. Okay, so try this method to balance the equation and let me know whether you understood or not. Now the next topic, types of chemical reaction. Before proceeding to the different types of the chemical reaction, let's proceed the type of chemical reaction on the basis whether the heat is evolving or the heat is releasing in the equations. Here therm means is the related to heat, endo means inside. If during a chemical reaction the heat is getting inside, heat is actually absorbing from the surrounding during a chemical reaction, those reaction is known as endothermic reaction. While the exothermic reactions are those, exo means outside and therm means heat. So when the heat is moving outside, it is releasing out from the reaction mixture, then the reaction will be known as exothermic. So energy is conserved in the chemical reaction, total energy will remain the same, but to proceed the reaction, there is a limit, there is a need of energy. When the energy is used up in the reaction, the reaction is known as endothermic. When energy or the heat is evolved, then it is known as exothermic. For example, photosynthesis. In the photosynthesis, the plants took up the heat in the form of sunlight, and then they proceed the reaction. Without the sunlight, without the chlorophyll, you will not able to get it. Similarly, when we are dissolving the water, so we'll stir it up slowly. If the temperature is little bit high, so it dissolves easily. So it is actually absorbing the heat from the surrounding. Similarly, exothermic reactions are water and acid reaction. They will burst out the heat generated. You can even feel the heat on that flask also. Campfire, you can easily feel the heat from your palms. Rusting, it's a slow process, but energy is released in this case. Nuclear fission, obviously freezing water into the ice. Yes, it is also able to release some kind of energy. That's why the molecules could get closer. The kinetic energy will reduce. And the most important example of a respiration of an exothermic process is the respiration. Respiration is known as the exothermic process because it is the process of burning of food in presence of the oxygen, right? And during this, the energy is formed in the form of ATP in the mitochondria of your cell, and that ATP is used by the different cell organelles, right? And carbon dioxide is released out from your body through the breathing process, right? Through that, you can also feel the some amount of heat in it. So the respiration is also an exothermic process. The endothermic and exothermic differentiation of the reaction is based upon whether the heat is evolving in the reaction or it is absorbing from the surroundings. But there are other types of reactions also that we are going to discover in this chapter, that is combination reaction, decomposition reaction, combustion reactions, neutralization reaction, displacement reaction, and some kind of redox reactions also, redox, oxidation reactions. So we are going to learn each type of reaction in detail in our next video. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. Thank you everyone.